Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and I love paint, which is why I'm doing these videos. I hope they're useful to you as well. So this paint is Contrast Paint Aeldari Emerald. This bottle is empty because I switched it over to a dropper bottle so I could use it through the airbrush. But this is by Citadel, and it is a gem of a paint. I'm going to go through various ways that you can use it in this video and show you up close and personal how it works over a primed bottle. Contrast paints work over light primers. They are a transparent paint, and the brighter the undercoat, the brighter the contrast paint will be over top. Aeldari Emerald is an exceptionally vibrant paint that I adored as soon as I saw it. I can tell that not only will it be lovely alone, but it will also be lovely mixed with other paints, other contrast paints, or any other acrylic paint. It has so much pigment in it that you can do so much with it. You could add contrast medium to make it a more pastel green, or add a little bit of Pterodon turquoise to make it a darker green. It really is a lovely paint with a wealth of potential. It provides great shadows and highlights. As you can see on this miniature that I primed with Wraithbone spray, shadows are really popping without any effort on my part. This means that you have to grab any excess paint, or the pooling of this fluid paint could ruin the effect that you're going for. As you can see, I'm only covering the model with a thinner coat of this paint. This allows the highlights to come out and the darker shadows to come out, but the shadows won't be too thick with too much paint pooling in those recesses, because it does want to pool. There's clearly a fair bit of flow improver in this particular contrast paint. If you allow for too much pooling because you added too much contrast paint to the model, the crevices will be unrealistically dark, and the difference from highlight to shadow won't be as easy to see as what it would be if you used a lighter coat on these miniatures. So just be careful with the Aeldari Emerald. You can always go back with a thinner brush than this shade brush that I'm using and add shadows yourself, underbellies of their arms, to the underbellies of their legs, anywhere that they might have a weapon or something like that, covering up and creating a shadow. It is very straightforward to use. I would suggest a detail brush of some kind for that purpose, because you need to be very focused on what you're doing and make certain you don't have too much contrast paint on your brush, or the contrast paint might do as it wants to do and flow everywhere. I love to use contrast paints through the airbrush, both over metal, like you see here, because the contrast paint is actually the perfect consistency for an airbrush, and because it's so vibrant, you need so very little of it in your airbrush to completely cover a miniature or a canvas painting, which I sometimes use. I absolutely will be using this Aeldari Emerald for some scenes in the future. I'm thinking perhaps an ocean scene. So another use of Aeldari Emerald that I could think of is making water effects, adding some blue of some kind and perhaps Aeldari Emerald together into water effects to bring on this really beautiful tropical island water style. Really, the sky's the limit with this one. So I have to say, this again is a beautiful color. So many ways that I will be using it. I think my favorite way might be over metal, just because boy, that it would be a gorgeous metal for like Horus Heresy, Sons of Horus Space Marines, perhaps. This would be a really nice sea green. Gotta say, what a coincidence that it's coming out around this time. But over metal, oh, it's so pretty. Now, if you want to bring out the metal of this miniature, applying a glossy Aeldari Emerald thinner mix over top, and it should bring out the metallic. Alright, that's it for me. Bye! If you wanted to tidy up your miniature after you contrast painted it, you wanted to tidy up those highlights, if there was any pooling that you missed and you were like, oh no, well then I think just Elemental Bolt or Campbellite Green, either or, should do very nicely for fixing up your mistakes.